I'm bringing people in, just FYI.
Okay.
Hello, everyone. We're right at 11:30 as you're hopping on. We will wait just one more minute as people get settled and on here, and then we'll get going. All right, we will go ahead and get going. Thanks again, everyone, for joining. Today, we are going to continue our training and support webinars featuring Mr. Andrew Faber here, our Customer Success Manager. And if you've joined these before, same consistent kind of feel. We're just going to use these to just continue to educate you on our software, how you can utilize it in different ways. But it's just meant for educational purposes. And but of course, just a reminder, you can always go more in depth. Andrew here, he can lead the charge in getting you any and all information, one-on-one webinar. He can provide, he does a great job with, little screen clips and arrows kind of running you through exactly what you might need to do if you're stuck with something. We, of course, have, if you're familiar with our system, we have a manual that has any and every detail that you can need. But sometimes it's helpful just to have somebody else who can kind of pinpoint you exactly where you need to go. So that is what we're kind of run through today. And I will bringing in a couple more as they pop on here. Andrew's contact information is here, of course. And then just a couple quick things. What to expect today, creating users. So Andrew will go in and kind of get you to that, that correct location, show you just the basics of how to create the users, and then getting into a little bit more depth of assigning users to distribution lists. And then there's some other things that he'll run through as he kind of takes you through those couple steps. And then if just a couple things to point out, if you are new to Google Meets, which we utilize, you can chime in with questions, comments. We've had kind of a fun figuring out of where best to utilize that in the webinars thus far. So if you have any questions, either there's this option here, but there's also a Q&A aspect as well that you can fill in some information. If you need closed captioning, it's there as well. And then we'll send out this afterwards, and feel free to send it around to your team if it's helpful. And again, please keep in mind, we are here to support. That is literally what Andrew's job is. Make sure you're comfortable with the system you have, and make sure that you're happy with it, confident in what you need to do. And we are always here to configure, do different setup and adjustments to your system. But we also want you to have the freedom to go in and the freedom and confidence to go in and make those adjustments as necessary as well, if you want. So anyways, we'll continue to do this over the summer. There'll probably just be about one a month. But then as we get back into the fall, we'll do the goal is we'll continue to be twice a month. And if there's any topics that you're really interested in, of course, you can reach out to Andrew, but you can also just shoot us a note, and maybe we can add it to our list of things that we'll run through. So from there, I will hand it over to Andrew and let him run with things.
All right, good morning, everybody. I'm going to share my screen over here. All right, so I like to start off with like the very beginning, even though if you've been here for every webinar, you know that we start from the beginning and get go. So if you're like, this is easy, good. But just for the new joiners, I like to start fresh. So on your browser, you select your hopefully bookmarked LSI webpage. Ours is going to be the production one. So you log in using your username, credentials, and all that. And then it, of course, takes you to your dashboard page on whatever default directory you have started at. And that's something we can take a look at and how to set that default for each user. So over here on this left side, assuming you are users that have the majority of the left side menus over here, that's just basically access granted. So if you are not seeing all the options available we talk about today and you need to, shoot us an email and we will get you set up for that. So we want to look for users over here. And then we have the list of users currently in here. A lot of these are just examples that I've used for other videos or step-by-step procedures. So you obviously see users here. There's no, a lot of times where it's blank, there would be a plus in the middle on the message page, as we discussed before. You can select add record over here and it will bring you to yours, and then you can edit from there. Or you can select if you have a user that has similar settings and I want to copy what they have onto a new user, you can select that person and then basically change the name and then add record from there. So let's start with that one. So I'm going to choose Tony Stark down here. And right now, all the information is for Tony Stark. And much like the message screen, the first basic info kind of window we have here is your extreme basics. It's what you need to get started. So if you want to have a first name change from Tony, but you want to keep on the user level, so we just go with let's just make Rick Wagner, and then so you make the first name, last name, and then you come up with a PIN number for them. A lot of times we just use first initial, last name, so R Wagner, and then user level. That's where you decide what type of user they are. If you are a school, for example, you probably don't want everybody to have all of the access all the time. So maybe make them what we call a general user 4. They're able to send messages, and there's a whole list, especially in our help section, which if you click on this question mark, it will take you to that section of the manual to get help. So if we click there, so it takes us immediately to the user database manager. And then if you scroll down a little bit, it gives you all the information. And then right here in this gray area, I can make that larger for you. It tells you the detailed list of all the roles involved. So the general user 4, or CL4, is how it's coded. And that's the lowest level of general users, excuse me. And they can send and receive messages. And then it mentions, if we're right here, reference the chart below for the screens this user can access. So if we scroll down a little bit further, here's kind of like the access chart that lets you know like what type of user they are, the little shorthand for it. So CL4 is that general user 4. And then it lists the Y for yes, they have access to that. So that's just a quick reference sheet. We're not going to go too deep into that right now. But user level, general user 4. So I took Tony Stark's, made Rick a new user. And the password is whatever you deem, whatever you want their password to be. For a lot of times for the general users, since they already have limited access, there's not a whole lot they can do. We generally go with, LSI 1234 is something we could do, stuff like that. And that is, you can change that whenever you need to. Just make sure the people who need to log in know the change has been made as well. And then email. This is specifically for email notifications, as well as the able to get the mobile app set up and running. So then we can put in there, so R Wagner, I'm making this up, 1234 at gmail.com. So then there we go. So now his email's set up. And of course, we want to select add record and not save, because if I saved it, it would save over the Tony Stark user that I had created earlier. And we don't want that. We want to add another user because maybe you have a new staff member, or changes happen all the time. So we add record, and now staff add is successful. If we hit back, and then you can sort these, by the way, by first name in alphabetical order or by last name in alphabetical order. So then Rick down here is at the bottom. He is a general user 4. There we go. That is the extreme basic thing to add a new user. Now, if you have hundreds of users to add, that is something that you could just send me the list of users. Usually we just ask for first name, last name, email. If you do have text devices, then their cell phone number, and then I would import all of those much faster than doing them one at a time. So other settings are obviously here, and we won't get into all of them today. We're kind of sticking to the basics of users today, but we have communication. Right here is one we want to look at. I mentioned text devices. This is where we would put their cell phone, and then that way they could get an SMS text if you have that set up at your company. And then the text device control, this is where you select kind of, well, I have my email set up, I have my cell phone set up, but I'm not getting the messages. Well, we take a look at text device control and we say, oh, their device 1 is not checked. So that cell phone, even though it's put in there, it's not checked to receive messages when those messages go through. If they have a specific PC alert set up for them, that will be a check mark. Their email, same thing, checkbox, and the mobile app as well. And obviously we have a bunch of other options, but those are the common ones: the first text device, the email, and mobile app. Here is the directory, like I mentioned before. So right now, if Rick logged into his LSI account, he would be taken to the directory of sample messages. So as you are thinking about how you want your users set up, maybe you have a large campus with many different buildings, and they only need access to one specific building, and each building has a separate directory of messages to use, or there's a directory for even within one building, like an elementary, middle, and high school. If it's all in one building, then you can have a separate directory for each of those buildings, for example. But this is where the message homepage Rick would land on once he logs in. And if you're like, ooh, I don't want him at sample messages, I want him in we have our system default emergency set up for our users, and we want them to access that one. So you can drop down, select system default emergency, and then you would save it, and that changes his login. So when he logs in now, as Rick, he would see system default emergency, that dashboard of messages. And then there's some kind of notes that you can add in here that we have. And then mobile directory, if you have an eagle eye, you might have noticed that one. That is if you have the mobile app set up, we can select which directory in the mobile app that you will default to at this time. So if there's none selected, obviously you wouldn't have one, but then you can select, oh, I want Rick to be able to log in on his mobile app and see the system default emergencies, and then make sure you save that as well. Okay, so there is that. That's pretty much the very basics of setting up a user, and I'm making sure we're keeping tight on time here. Sometimes there are, we go back to database. search for nobody. I don't know what happened here. Sorry. There we go. There's our full list. You may have noticed, on this one it is, there is typically on as the default setup, there is a all users or all at like a school. So like all Jefferson Elementary or something like that, for example. And it would be just all users. And so then if you want to select a message to go to absolutely everyone in the user database, you would select that all users. But sometimes there's a, like I said, if you have a campus where you want, just the elementary staff members to get a message, or just the middle school, we can create what's called a distribution list. And so what we do there is we go to lists. And so these are kind of the default kind of thing. So it might look overwhelming for right now, but you can select add record over here to start from scratch. And then, so you make the list name. So you have, let's say all elementary. And that way it will go to all elementary users, but we want to go over to, and make sure you have something in description. So all users in the elementary school. So there you go. There's your description of just a quick jot of whatever will help you remember what that is. And then for list control, we want to change that to additional people only. And then we want to select add record. And so that list name, all elementary, was added. So now if we go back, we see all elementary right here. And now if I want to add additional people, I can include, actually, so we have to make a one step. I told Rick I wouldn't forget, but I did. So then you go back to your database, and you create a record, and oops, let's just go with Rick's again. We're going to make that all elementary. All right. We don't need an email. And then what we're going to do right here is the user level is what we're taking a look at. So instead of a general user, since this isn't going to be a normal user, it's going to become a distribution list. So we're going to call it distribution list individual. And then we can just, we can leave those for now. We're going to select add record. And then the setting down here within authorization and voice settings, the auth/dist list, say that 10 times fast, you select down, and now we have all elementary as our distribution list. So that kind of like links it together, ties it together. And then we want to make sure we select save. So now we could have done what I was going to do earlier, is add those additional people. So we went back to our lists. Sorry if I'm going a little too fast. Went back to our lists, select all elementary or whichever list you've created, double checking that it's additional people only, because that allows you to include the specific people one at a time. And we can select me, Mason, Leroy, Leon, Steve, John. We'll put Rick in there, and Tony. So those people are the elementary staff members, for example. So one thing to note down here, when you mess with these lists, it does save automatically, but if you'd like to save it just to be safe, there's no harm in that. So there we go. So what that does is when you go to messages, so we're kind of doing a little in-depth here. If you go to messages and you go into any of them to edit a message, so the send to, if you select elementary all, notice it has this list clipboard looking thing right here. If we can, yeah, right there. So you can tell that that is a distribution list. And there is also a list sample I probably made earlier. So if we select elementary all, that means that it is this message when selected send to user devices. We have yes, it will only go to those individuals we have added to that specific list. So I know that may be just a little bit into the weeds there, but it is a very useful tool when dividing up your sections of your business or your school campus, kind of stuff like that. And that way you can quickly decide who the message is going to go to if you need to send something out. So again, just to recap what we did to give us a few minutes for questions, we created a user when Rick Wagner down here, we created him. We showed you that we put him in the different directories. We set up the user level and the email, password, PIN. And then the other thing we did was created a list, all elementary. We added the people. We made the control of the list additional people only, because what these are considered are logical fields, and it will automatically pull people in based on last name, first name. In this case, it allows you to kind of cherry pick who you want in the list. You save it, you add the people who you want in the list. And then what we do is we go and create a user in the database, and we created the all elementary list. But what we did specifically for this one is the authorization settings, and we changed the authorization and distribution list to all elementary. That way it ties together, and we made the user level a distribution list individually. So that is what you need to do to create a simple user or a user list, and to tie it to, you create a user and then you change the level to the distribution list. So that's kind of how that all works. I know that's kind of a lot for maybe what we were expecting today, but as you can see, it's very basic to create just a user from anywhere. And then again, to highlight the question mark, to pull up our manual, to scroll through and kind of see more in-depth things on your own time, to see what they all do, and then see which access they have on the chart down here. So yeah, that is all I think I want to throw at you today. So if we have any questions, I'm willing to answer those as we can. Okay. Sorry, as Rick stated earlier, we're still getting used to the questions and things. I'm not sure if anyone has any at the moment. I only saw the one comment. If you'd like to see something again or see something more specific, we do have a couple minutes here, but definitely don't want to keep anyone longer than I have to. Jonathan O says, may have missed this, but can this sync with Active Directory or anything to automatically create users? Great question. I'm going to jot that one down. I am not sure. Maybe Rick can chime in. I know Rick's being Mr. Flexible today, so he had to step out for a moment on his mobile. So I will get back to you on that one, Jonathan. If you are able to, something I kind of just thought of. Oh, Richard popped in and said, yeah, there's a lot of stuff that I am still learning. This is actually, today is my second year officially. It's Michael V says AD, LDAP, Entra integration is becoming required for a lot of facilities now. Okay. Yeah, so Richard and Michael, thank you for helping me out here. It's a team effort. Restricting, Richard asks, is it possible to restrict visual campus graphic to a user? Yes. So Richard brings up the visual campus here. So this is one of our just example maps that we have to kind of play around with stuff. But you can create a user that has, so if we want to go to Rick's again, if we wanted Rick to just be able to use Visual Campus, we can select the Visual Campus user. And that way, and then make sure you save that. That way, when Rick would log in to his LSI page, his left side over here would just have the Visual Campus. And then he would be able to see this and send messages. A lot of times people use that for the admin assistants in schools. So kind of that first person you see, they can kind of send a message to somebody real quick. If a parent comes to pick up a student, they can find their classroom. So though they're in room 106, they select that classroom and they can just type in a quick message, hey, please send, so-and-so to the office. And then it would pop up on their LCD screen. Or notify that teacher, however they have that set up. And then the teacher would know that it's time for little Timmy to go to his dentist appointment or something like that. And also other uses as well. It doesn't have to be a school setting, of course. That's just, my mind goes there as a former teacher. Great question, Richard. Thank you. Hopefully that answered that. And again, if you think of something like after we close the call or anything like that, or just you start to brainstorm ideas and things, please email us. You can email me directly, or you can include the support at layeredsolutionsinc.com. That will get me and a few other people to help answer questions. If it is a high level tech question, that might go above my head. I'm more of if it's an end user kind of question, that's where my strengths are. Bill says, love those maps. Yeah, the maps are very helpful. Visual Campus is very, very cool to kind of put all the icons. Obviously, this one is a little bit messy, but again, we used it this is one of our examples. But yeah, the Visual Campus is very useful. You're welcome. All right. I'm going to go ahead and let you guys go. Thank you for being here. Appreciate you. Have a wonderful day. If you have any other questions you think of later, like I said, please feel free to reach out and email us. And then Rick will get this emailed to you guys, I believe, as a recording. So have a great day, everybody. Enjoy your week.